Yes, and we're back. We're really proud of the DOT facility here that's doing a lot of cutting-edge research. And with us today is our FDOT Secretary, Jared Perdue. So I want to thank him for all his good work. When a hurricane comes through southwest Florida, it wipes out a couple bridges. People said it was going to take 6 months. We did one in 3 days. We did another in 2 weeks. That's because these guys are really working hard, pushing the contractors, making sure to get results. So I want to thank him for doing that. I know the people, particularly in Southwest Florida, really appreciate that. We have a new senator. Colleen Burton is here with us, and so thank you. And then we have Representatives Tomko, Bell, and Kennedy are here with us, so thank you all. This is like murderer's row here for the Polk County delegation. You guys are packing a lot of legislative heft here. We also are going to hear from Vicki Ortiz, who's the mother of two and a traveling insurance salesperson from Central Florida, and Josh Borum, owner of Borum Fire Protection, right here in Polk County. Well, I don't have to tell any of you here that Florida is a thriving, growing, big state. We have over 22 million residents, and just for the first 3 quarters of 2022, and we'll get the fourth quarter number soon, we had over 105 million visitors to the state of Florida. A lot of them come to Central Florida, as we all know. We are leading the nation in net in-migration. You see people being pushed out of a lot of other states, largely because of bad policies. Florida's been a promised land for so many people that want to live in a free state, and so we're proud of that, but there's challenges that come with that. Our unemployment rate is 2.5%, one of the lowest on record, and if you look at the country as a whole since COVID, most of the jobs that have been added on net is like Florida and Texas and like a couple other states. And so we have more people employed in the state of Florida today than prior to COVID. That is not true for a lot of other states. Our labor force has grown by 3.5%, so that's double the national rate of 1.6%. Sometimes you'll actually have numbers come out where the unemployment rate drops nationally, but the participation rate also drops, and so in reality, it's not necessarily moving forward. Florida, we see the participation rate has really consistently been better than the national average, and our unemployment rate is low. So we've got a lot of opportunity here in the state. We've had a lot of wealth migrate into the state. So there's a lot of things that are going well, and one of the results of that has been we ended last fiscal year with by far the largest budget surplus in the history of the state of Florida. And you always want to have a surplus rather than a deficit. You look, California, they got a $25 billion deficit. We ended the year with a $22 billion surplus. Actually, it grew since then because of the revenue coming in. And that's great, and we're prepared for whatever may be thrown our way in terms of the national economy, because there's been a lot of problems, not just with the inflation. You're starting to see layoffs, you're starting to see a lot of things, and Florida's doing better than the nation as a whole, but we're not immune to these trends. And so you want to make sure you have money tucked away, which we do. We have a big budget stabilization fund. I think it's about $3.3 billion now. We've got billions and billions of additional reserves. And that's great, and it's good, but in some respects, it's like, okay, we got to give some of this money back to taxpayers, which we are doing. We just did. I think people in Central Florida will be benefiting very soon. We just did the biggest toll relief program in Florida history. So it's going to be $500 million in toll relief. Basically, anybody that commutes, meaning like you ping it enough times in a month, you get a rebate on your bill for 50% off. And so that's significant for people because you're looking at a lot of costs. And not every part of the state has the same amount of tolls. You have some, like in Central Florida, there's a lot of different toll roads, so it's hard to get around. Southeast Florida, similar. There's other parts of the state, not as much, but even those parts that have some, this is very, very helpful. So that is, and I promised I was going to do this during the campaign, got elected, we actually did this in December during a special session, so it went into effect January 1st, so we're not wasting any time on that. So Florida commuters are going to start seeing those rebates in the month of February for January's bills, and so we're proud of that. We're happy about that. We're also going to do more tax relief, and we'll be unveiling kind of the full package, but I did mention during the campaign that we are going to make permanent our provisions for tax-free baby supplies, diapers, baby food, clothes for the young kids. We're going to add strollers and cribs and all these other things. And we have 6, 4, and 2, and so we're kind of growing out of that phase in our family, but, you know, it's going to help a lot of Floridians, so we're going to make that permanent. It's going to be good. We're going to do a lot of other stuff. At the same time, it's like, okay, what are some of the needs of the state of Florida? And as you look around, when the state's growing, and we've done a great job long before I was governor with our Department of Transportation, people will come down from some of these other states and say, oh man, your roads are so much better than where I came from, and they're complementary of the infrastructure. So I think there's been a concerted effort for many, many years to fully fund FDOT's work program, billions and billions of dollars every single year, and that has kind of helped Florida keep up with some of the growth. However, it's been so intense lately that you have places in Central Florida and others that really are struggling with congestion. And there's a lot of different things on the horizon. You see some of those projects which need to be done. The problem is, on the current course, some of these things, you know, won't be completed for 20 years. And so I don't think that we can wait 20 years to get this type of relief. So we've worked with FDOT, we've worked with people in my office, as well as consulting with members of the House and Senate. And we're proud to announce today that we're going to be pursuing a Moving Florida Forward initiative. It's going to be a proposal to expedite 20 major interstate and roadway projects across the state of Florida in the next 4 years. And so you're going to end up you're going to end up seeing some of these projects completed 10, 12 years ahead of schedule of where they're currently scheduled now. So we're putting in, just in this year, we're going to put in $4 billion from our budget surplus to be in these key projects. We're also going to dedicate $134 million each year to the State Transportation Work Program to further support. And then, because we have such a high credit rating, they're going to be able at FDOT to leverage that money that we put in for even more. So the total is going to be about $7 billion over 4 years, which is really, really significant. And these are all projects in the pipeline. They've been approved by local communities. They're really ready to get going. We just need to put the funds in place. And so we're looking to do things like widen existing roadways, making existing connections more efficient, expanding interchanges to be more free-flowing, and this is going to be important to help improve traffic flow. And there are obviously some places, I mean, I think anywhere from, you know, Champions Gate, you look in between here and Tampa, you go up like 75 in Ocala, interchanges with the Florida Turnpike. There's a lot of places that really need this relief. So many of the projects we're doing, and you see kind of there, and we have our, our own handout here, it's throughout the state, but you look at the lion's share really in that center part of the state where I think we have a lot of significant congestion issues. So these projects are going to include reconstructing US 301 between County Road 470 and Florida's Turnpike to increase traffic capacity and improve safety, and that needs to be done. Adding new lanes on I-75 between State Road 44 and State Road 326 and making interchange modifications, that definitely needs to be done. Adding new lanes and reconstructing existing interchanges on I-4 between Champions Gate and Osceola Parkway. We know that needs to be done. Constructing a roadway to connect County Road 532 and State Road 429 to Interstate 4. Improving I-4 traffic interchange at State Road 33 to support more traffic, and adding new lanes, yes, and adding new lanes on I-4 between US 27 and Champions Gate interchanges to support more traffic. So I think this makes sense to do. These are things we're going to have to do anyways. We have more than enough resources to make it happen much sooner. And if you think about waiting in the normal pipeline, a lot of these problems are going to be exacerbated by then. So I think we got to get moving on it, and I'm looking forward to be able to do this and working with the legislatures. I know there's a lot of legislators who've expressed support. You know, some may be in districts that aren't affected by this, so maybe, I know these legislators are going to be in support because this is really good for their area. So we're looking forward to getting this across the finish line, and I think that, that it's the right thing to do. But it's only possible because we've been prudent with how we've managed the state's fiscal policy. We've taxed lightly, but we've spent conservatively, and we've regulated very reasonably and had a really good climate for economic activity, not just being open and all that, but the whole shebang and the things we've been able to do. So I'm excited about it. I think it's going to make a big difference, and we're going to hear now from our FDOT Secretary, Jared Perdue, as well as our two other speakers. So Jared, come on up.
Thank you, Governor DeSantis. As a transportation professional, a longtime FDOT employee, and a native Floridian, I'm proud to have a leader who understands the importance of investing in our infrastructure. I'm thrilled to have everyone here at SunTrax, FDOT's state-of-the-art facility. Florida's Turnpike Enterprise is doing some really great things here with technology and has been gracious enough to host today's event. It's an exciting day for transportation. This initiative casts a bold new vision for Florida's transportation system and will benefit communities throughout the state for many decades to come. A proposal of this magnitude is truly historic. This type of commitment has not been seen in my 20 years with FDOT. People are continuing to flock to the free state of Florida, and many regions are seeing exponential population growth, to include Central Florida. This challenges us to find ways to accelerate much-needed infrastructure. The good news is FDOT does not shy away from a challenge. We're here today to rise to the challenge and deliver the transportation infrastructure Floridians want and need. As you heard from the governor, this initiative totals $7 billion worth of infrastructure and will advance 20 major projects into our existing work program over the next 4 years. The proposal dedicates $4 billion of general revenue surplus and leverages innovative financing tools, contracting methods, and policy proposals for an additional $3 billion. Offering a strong vision like this is exactly why Florida remains a national leader in transportation. As Florida continues to grow, the department is seeking bold and innovative solutions and cutting through unnecessary red tape to keep Florida on top. FDOT's efforts will remain focused on meeting transportation needs that enhance the quality of life for residents, preserve our environment, and ensure Florida's infrastructure is safe and resilient far into the future. To learn more about the proposal, including the projects, please visit fdot.gov/moving Florida forward. Thank you again, Governor DeSantis. The department is committed to carrying out your bold vision and working closely with the legislature to bring these projects to reality. The FDOT team and industry partners stand ready for the opportunity to keep moving Florida forward. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Vicki Ortiz, and I am a wife and mother of 2 children, as Governor DeSantis said earlier. And I am here today to tell you about my experiences. I live in Winter Park, Florida. My business is an insurance consultant, so you could imagine I'm on the road all the time, a little more than I wanted to. But between my family and my business, I would say I'm on the road 70% of the time some days. I mean, I could take Winter Park to Lake Mary for a meeting one day, and next day I'm in Homestead. So all this commute that we do has really gotten so much better. Like before the I-4 expansion, I was maybe on a lucky day seeing 2 clients. Right now, I probably could squeeze 4. So that's good. My daughter is in a traveling volleyball team, and her commute and ours is very challenging as well. So we go between tournaments, practices, etc., and just hopping on I-4 in Winter Park and going to the convention center in Central Florida is heaven sent. Seriously, we've shaved probably 15 to 20 minutes easily one way. So we're very thankful for that. And you know, anyone that's from Orlando know that the downtown area was just brutal. So you would stand in traffic for 45 minutes before you could even get to the turnpike to go to South Florida. Right now, and today is the perfect example. You hop on the express lanes, congestion in downtown was almost non-existent, very minimal. And next thing you know, I shaved today 30 minutes to get here. So I was very glad to hear that. So the express lanes are, in my opinion, were developed extremely well because they thought about the whole process so well. They built shoulders so that in the event of a car breaking down or an accident, you're able to push it to the side and it's less accidents and less congestions, less frustration. So at the end of the day, it's been really, really positive. People ask me, well, what about the tolls? And I go, well, the tolls is a minimal amount to pay, and thank you, Governor DeSantis and his team for keeping them low. I mean, after all, we don't have state tax in Florida, so what are we complaining? So, no, it's been terrific. So in that regard, it's been awesome. I traveled to South Florida as well, and the extensions there they have limited space as to what to do, so I feel like it's a little more dangerous. But the other thing is, when I travel to see my grandchildren in Tampa, my eldest son lives there, and my only thing is, why don't we take this express lane and get it past Disney? And now this is music to my ears. So, yeah. So for my family and for my business as a whole, I'm really appreciative of the improvements that the I-4 expansion has created for us personally. And at this time, I would love to thank the governor and his team for putting so much emphasis on the roads and you know, fixing them throughout the state of Florida. So thank you very much.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. As Governor mentioned, my name is Josh Borum. I've owned and operated Borum Fire Protection for 5 years here in Central Florida. We have a team of 14 employees, and 6 of those are technicians whose job is to drive in and around all of Central Florida, from Polk County to Daytona and even farther, to service our customers. We have literally over 4,000 customers, so it's a lot of jobs, it's a lot of driving. In 2022, we serviced about 1,200 jobs just in Orlando addresses, including Apopka, Kissimmee, that area. That averages to about 240 trips by my math, which is, again by my math, about 480 hours of sitting still on I-4, going nowhere or almost nowhere, sitting still. Again, more math, that's my conservative numbers. That's 12 weeks of work that I'm paying people to not do anything with my small business. You multiply that by the labor cost, that's $12,000 annually that my company is spending. And then if you also consider the other way, that's $50,000 worth of income we could have had if we were just working. So it's a huge deal with just a small 30-minute delay on I-4 every day each way. We have seen improvements on I-4 in recent years, and everyone in this room is certainly thankful for that, so that's great. But obviously it needs more, and that's the point of the meeting today. The long drives have literally limited our ability to grow the company and to service more customers. Every week, my brother will attest to you, we have technicians working overtime because there's so much work to do and there's so many customers just begging for service. I mean, they need our services. On top of all of that, there's a mental toll. Again, everyone in this room knows that, but there's a mental toll of sitting on I-4. I see a lot of heads nodding, am I right? So imagine if you do that every day as your job, and maybe some of you do. I'm gonna jump forward a point here. My brother Sean and I have collectively driven over 750,000 miles in the last 7 years, and that was by far mostly I-4. So again, you all know the pain. I do often joke that I might be the only business owner in Central Florida who's purposefully growing my business away from Orlando. And think about how illogical that is. There's so much business there. There's so much to do, but we don't want it. I turned off my Google ads. I talked to my SEO company. Get me out of Orlando. It shouldn't be that way, and that's why we're thankful to have Governor DeSantis fixing that. We do continue to see 12 to 15% growth in Borum Fire every year, which is good. But I know if we were able to expand Orlando by cutting away the drive time and the wasted time, my estimate is that we could increase our company by 50% in the course of just 2 years. I honestly believe that. That would be more jobs, more income, more of our great quality service. I have to plug that, and tax revenues to pay for people getting paid. In conclusion, I love Governor DeSantis, a common sense leader that is getting things done for Floridians. I really do. Today's yet another example of this. I'm excited to see the improvements come in the next few years instead of 20 years. That's kind of been the biggest thing I've learned from what he said. I'm 44 years old. We wouldn't see those changes until I'm about to retire, if not for doing this now with a budget surplus. So, I mean, my most sincere thanks to you.
All right. Thanks. And the thing about it, especially in like this part of the state, it's one thing to have rush hour traffic, but you could end up just stand still at any time of the day, a weekend, all this stuff. And it's like, I think at some point people are just like, man, so we want to make sure that it is productivity is on the line when you can improve this for businesses. But even more importantly, I think people want to get back from work and be with their families. And we want to have more time for people to be able to be there with their families. So I think it's good. I think there's a lot of benefit all across the state, not just here. But I do think when you see some of the acute issues, let's just get it done now. Let's push forward. And I think everybody here will be very happy to see these roads fixed sooner rather than later. Okay. All right. Anybody in the cheap seats back there have any questions? No? All right. Well, God bless everyone. It's been great to be here. We'll see you soon.